Welcome to podcast number 216. Are you putting yourself last again in the sequence of things in life? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I am actually a little bit grumpy tonight. So if you are feeling like you don't want to listen to somebody who's whining and ranting and making a bigger deal out of things than he needs to, then probably you're not going to want to listen to today's podcast because I'm kind of amped up and pissed off about something tonight. I'm getting some pushback, which actually I encourage because I think that pushback and openness and accountability and conflict are good things, right? But let's let the war begin on this deal because we're about to enter a small war here against the concept of tact planning and flow and things like Scrum and CPM. Like, hey, everybody, you probably think that I've been on a CPM bashing kick lately, and I have been. And like, it's time to just get this done and just be super, super clear about what's going on here. CPM is garbage. Like, it hides things. People think that there's a good plan when there isn't. It's overly detailed, but it's just a wild guess. I'd put a cuss word in there if I could, if I didn't have to mark this podcast episode explicit. It's overly complex. It wastes time. It takes 12 weeks to go ahead and get it done. It creates variation within the supply chains. Nobody reads the darn thing. It's the most siloed, non-communicative, frustrating, ineffective tool that I've ever seen. And I'm like, so I'm putting out podcasts to gently and lovingly educate people about the problem that we're having because we have a problem in the United States. I've said this before, over 50 days past substantial completion is the industry US average for schedules, meaning projects do not finish on time. They never finish on time. Unless you're using tact planning or some kind of collaborative system, or you're using Last Planner or you're using Scrum or something like that, they never finish on time. And everybody knows that this industry is rampant. It's running rampant with crash landings, and I'm tired of it and I'm disgusted about it. And now I'm kind of annoyed that I'm the only one with enough, well, not the only one. There's a lot of you out there that are awake to this, that are fighting with me. And to you, I say thank you. But to the rest of everybody, I would just say, look, follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. If somebody's like, I'm watching this on LinkedIn with people commenting back, people in the industry, they're like, no, I disagree. CPM's great. And then you look at it, professional scheduler. I work for a CPM company. I work for Oracle. This is what I do for a living. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm a consultant that uses P6. Like, okay, yeah. What were you going to say? Were you going to agree with me, or were you going to protect your job? Follow the money trail. You wouldn't see people out there dealing drugs, fighting against the cartels. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do that. They're going to follow the money trail. So every single person to date that has said, Jason, I don't agree with you about the shortcomings of CPM and that you need to either pair CPM with tact or replace it with tact planning with flow systems, not a single one of them has been disconnected from the money trail of CPM scheduling, meaning incentivized to use an ineffective system. And so I'm really annoyed right now. And so I apologize for going on this rant. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be authentic. I tell people when I'm coaching them, it's okay sometimes to have a bad day. I'm kind of grumpy right now. I just saw a LinkedIn post that kind of pissed me off. So I'm going to talk about it. And here's my point. Does anybody in the industry think that the system is working? Does anybody in the industry think that we don't have crash landings? Does anybody in the industry think that we don't have room for improvement? I'd like to find that person if they do. Because even the people that are talking back to me and being like, hey, I disagree with you, I know CPM is the greatest thing, are the same freaking people that call me to come out and recover projects and to help them and to find out why they're behind schedule. And the first thing I do every stinking time is I create a tact plan to find out what the exact realistic end date's going to be. And we follow that plan and we create flow and we create stability on that project. And even on complex projects, we're able to do that. So I just want to say, oh, here's the other thing that I want to say. Follow the money trail. Does Jason Schroeder make any money going around pissing people off about CPM? No. In fact, I got my family of 13 over here starting a new business in 2021, jamming, spreading as much information as I can to bless people's lives, to take care of workers. And if there are people that would hire me right now to come consult on CPM, on corporate controls, on how to manage the system and create scheduling departments and improve the systems and make sure our schedules are better and track end dates and do float paths and float charts and float trends and all of these things and all this, and use Acumen Fuse and Acumen 360 and Acumen Risk and all of these things. I could go out there and make a ton of money doing that. But I'm not going to do it because the system is garbage and it's hurting people, and I'm not going to do it because I have integrity and I am going to protect workers and I'm going to protect people and I'm going to protect leaders and I'm going to protect families, and putting them in a freaking crash landing is not protecting them, even though we love spending 12 freaking weeks putting together a stupid CPM schedule that's going to lie to us, get us hooked on an unrealistic end date, hide the detail, not communicate crap to anybody, and be such an ineffective tool that nobody reads the damn thing anyway. I mean, this system does not work, and nobody thinks that it does. Just because people are good at using the wrong system doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So, a little bit annoyed. So who should everybody believe on this podcast? I'm just going to be me right now. Who should you believe? Should you believe the scheduling consultants and the CPM users and the professional schedulers and the owners and the legal teams and everybody else who are making money out of saddling you with this garbage system, that are putting you in chains and bondage, that are actually like addicting you to an ineffective system, that are creating these crash landings? Are you going to believe them or somebody that has absolutely nothing to gain by criticizing the system other than following my core purpose, which is to protect workers, to bring respect back to construction, to improve construction, and to preserve families? I think you should believe me. I think you should believe me. Besides, some of these people that give me a hard time, they're like, oh, I created this software. Well, no kidding, you're going to defend that. Oh, I'm a scheduling consultant. I used to work for Oracle. Well, sorry, team. I was a superintendent. And I've been a career superintendent. I've been doing this for over 22 years. So, sorry, team. I know what's going on. You don't. Shut up. Sit down. You're hurting people. I don't want to hear you flapping your gums anymore. You need to shut up and sit down. CPM is garbage. Let me say it again. CPM is garbage. Let me say it again. CPM is garbage. Let me say it one more time just in case you didn't hear me. CPM is garbage. For all of you trade partners out there, how many of you think that a general contractor using CPM gives you a reliable schedule? For all of you project engineers and PMs out there, how many of you don't think that a CPM schedule moves your target dates for procurement all over hell? For anybody on a team, how many of you don't think that it's impossible to read a CPM schedule? How many people out there saddled with projects in a crash landing don't think that when you do the proposal schedule with the business development team and the people winning the projects, that they don't get an unrealistic end date, saddle you with it, and then you ruin your family the last 4 months of the job? The system doesn't freaking work. And I would really appreciate everybody to stop like beating around the bush with this issue and get real and get serious right now about the fact that we have a problem, and we are never going to freaking make any progress in construction when we have these diseased systems attached to our backs. We're never going to do it. People are like, every lean book. I got a stinking lean book right over here sitting to the left of me. Beautiful lean book. And it's like, actually, I'm going to pause this podcast. I'm going to go get this book and I am going to coach you what it says right now. I am on one right now. All right, I'm back. I just went and got my little book here. This is one of my favorite books, Lean Project Delivery, Building Championship Project Teams by David Yumstadt and Dan Fascier. I can't even say it. I'm so fired up. Okay, the compelling case and need for lean project delivery. And I'm just going to read this as a quote. So why should we be looking at ways to improve our industry? We have been successfully building for generations. So why change? Let us frame the challenge in context. The Quadrennial American Society of Civil Engineers in 2017, on the 2017 report card on American infrastructure, released in March, gives the nation's infrastructure an overall grade of D+. This grade remains the same from their 2013 report card. While there are pockets of average grades and even a B, 12 of the 16 categories evaluated were assigned a D. Furthermore, the report card estimates $4.59 trillion will be necessary to invest in our infrastructure by 2025 to meet our needs. To complicate matters, there is an expected funding gap of $2.064 trillion. It is unrealistic that our nation will be in a position to create an additional $2 trillion in funding over the course of the next few years to address these needs. So that begs the question, is more funding the answer, or is the solution using the available funding in a manner that yields greater value? So that's a representative case study. So what can we as an industry do to help? Clearly, business as usual will not adequately address our challenge. Let's look at the current state of the construction industry in the United States. Paul Teicholz, Paul Goodrum, and Carl Haas conducted and published research in 2001 based on U.S. Department of Commerce data on the productivity of the construction industry. And I'm looking at a chart here, and it talks about all other industries that are non-farming and then construction. Construction has actually been on a decline versus all farming sectors. Let me actually, I probably released it. Okay, so here's what it says. The data on the productivity of construction industry versus all non-farm industry sectors, shown in figure 2.1, which is the one that I was looking at. They define productivity as constant dollars of contract work hours of hourly workers for the period of 1964 to 1999. What the data showed was that over this period of time, the overall productivity in industry was rising at an average compound rate of 1.71%, while construction productivity was actually decreasing at an average rate of 0.48% during this same period. The net effect being that since 1964, coincidentally, just a year before CPM was adopted by the AGC, the overall U.S. productivity rate had increased nearly 85%, while construction productivity actually decreased by 20%. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, the capacity and the training of the workers and blah, 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 blah. Let me ask you a question. Can capacity and competence and the skill and training of the workers ever succeed in a push system? And the answer is no. So let's keep going through this real quick. So the people that published this, Teicholz, revised this study in 2013 and validated that the trends were still consistent. He adjusted the data to account for various deflators in the construction industry. The trends showed that the general rate of decline for construction productivity from 1964, again, just 1 year before CPM was adopted by the AGC, through 2012 was 0.32% annually. Conversely, the non-farm industry showed an average positive productivity increase of 3.06% annually. Furthermore, the Construction Industry Institute conducted research on waste in the construction industry and published their findings that 50 to 75% of labor time is spent on some type of waste, which I'm going to tell you right now is caused by push systems. Furthermore, only 8% to 25% actually adds value to the process, with the balance being support activities. This compares to 62% value generation in manufacturing with 26% waste. So what does this mean? This means that we have an incredibly big problem. And every single book that I pick up and read about lean, about scheduling, about productivity, about anything, talks about how the only industry that is not making progress in the right direction is construction. And so, yes, training has a part of it. Yes, all of these other considerations have a part of it. Last Planner is doing what it can. Scrum is doing what it can, but it will never be fixed as long as you have and hear me on this. This is the inspired part. Everyone will want to write this down. It will never be fixed until the variation that is caused by a CPM schedule that runs left and right and has all of the chaos inherent with a forward and backward pass stops producing milestones that change from day to day, which increases inventory, which increases manpower, and which increases costs. It will never, ever, 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 ever get any better until that's fixed. So I'm a little bit fired up. And I'm turning this into a moral and ethical thing. If you are out there pandering to and pawning CPM off on other people, and you know that the system doesn't work, and if you've even at least had 25% of your recent projects, end with a crash landing or something near to it, then you are a part of the problem, and I am calling you out. How can you even have 10% and still sleep well at night? But that's not even what we have. We have 50% and 60% and sometimes 40 or sometimes 80 or 70% of our projects crash freaking landing because of this stupid system. I'm tired of it. We're done. I declare war. We are just going to head in this direction. So go ahead. Don't hire me for it. Badmouth me. Send me a negative LinkedIn post. Send me a negative Facebook post. Send me whatever you want. Badmouth my name. Reduce the work. I don't care. I'm out there for people. God's going to take care of me. This is a big deal. If somebody thinks, oh my gosh, Jason's being dramatic, consider the tens and even hundreds of thousands of people in construction and the effect and expense that this system has on their lives, the capacity of their families, their ability to progress, their health, their safety, all of the things that come with pushing a project. It is a big deal. We could go out and we could do as many stinking, humanitarian, let me just tell you this. My daughter's about to go on a humanitarian trip to Africa. My son's going to South America. We could do 1,000 of those trips to foreign countries and not even come close to a fraction of a percent of the good and humane work that we could do in the United States if we just all stood up and said, hey, time out, everyone. CPM's not working. We just need to figure something out here. We need to create flow. We need to get this back on track. Okay. If we did 10,000 humanitarian trips to foreign countries, it wouldn't still even be a fraction of the percent of the good that we could do in the United States alone for the benefit of workers if we got them into an environment that was safe and healthy and happy, that had flow, that was predictable. That's it. That's what we're dealing with. So I apologize for my little rant. If I've lost podcast listeners, I love you. I hope that you'll find some other podcasts that you enjoy. I'm telling you right now, I'm a superintendent. I'm really smart. I know what I'm doing. I've used tact systems for well over 10 years, 15 years now. I've used CPM. I've seen it. I've seen what they do in Europe. I've learned about lean and I've learned about the Japanese methods of flow. I know Last Planner. I know Scrum. I know these things. And I'm telling you, you need to trust me a little bit and look into it. Here's the last point I'm going to make. When people give me a hard time and they're like, I don't know if Jason's right. Well, let me ask you a question. Have you scheduled projects with just tact before? If the answer is no, then how do you even get to voice an opinion? And if the answer is, I haven't even paired CPM with tact to see the results, how do you get to have an opinion? You don't get to be the alcoholic over there in the corner saying there's nothing wrong with having a drink now and then. We have a problem. We need to fix it. And now I'm done because I'm getting tired of hearing myself talk. So I'm going to get into a podcast. I just want to let everybody, one more last dig. All you CPM haters, give it all you got. We're going. I declare war right now. Okay. So I'm going to keep giving you sections from the chapters that didn't make it into the book, Elevating Construction Superintendents. And so I'm going to read you this one. This was going to be Principle 14, Excellence versus Perfection. One of the best general superintendents I ever met once said to me, "Excellence, Jason, not perfection. We should never let the execution of perfect things get in the way of doing the right things in an excellent manner. As builders, we must be able to sort what is not important to focus on the excellent execution of the things that are. We cannot let paperwork or perfectionism or the following of unnecessary processes hinder us from doing the things in the field that we need to do to plan our work. The only possible exception to this would be for an issue of safety." Meaning you want to strive for perfection and safety. We need perfect execution of our policies, our paperwork, the enforcement of everything on site that would make for a perfect safety record and the creation of a remarkable safety culture. Construction can overwhelm anybody who does not take this approach. If we were trying to execute things perfectly on a project site, meaning every T crossed, every I dotted, every piece of paperwork filled out, and everything done at 100%, and all of our tasks are perfectly executed, we would never accomplish anything well, and we could barely work 100 hours in a week and accomplish even a portion of what we're trying to do. The focus on excellence, not perfection, is how we will be the most effective on a project site. Perfection is not attainable, but if we choose perfection, we can catch excellence, is something that Vince Lombardi said. And I want to modify that. If we strive for excellence and continue in the direction of perfection, we will continually get the excellence of what we're attempting to do. Meaning we hear phrases in Japanese, now I'm off script right now, but we constantly hear phrases in Japanese culture, strive for perfection, strive for perfection. Absolutely, because we're shooting for excellence. So we're heading in the perfect direction, but we don't want to get bogged down by perfection. So when I say excellence, not perfection, I'm talking about we need to have common sense and not get bogged down in the thick of thin things when we need to be focused on the things that are important. So excellence, not perfection. Any good meaning that you can distill from that, please do so. Temper that with common sense and be forgiving with me and my because you know what I mean there. There are so many people that are so focused on doing, so focused on writing that perfect email, so focused on creating that perfect schedule, so focused on just detailing something to the nth degree that they don't get to. They don't get to the real things, right? Here's a perfect example. Have you ever had somebody attempt to align anchor bolts in footings with a total station themselves in the moment when they're placing? And then they get to an anchor bolt and they're like, I want to adjust it 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. And then by the time they got done messing with that one anchor bolt template in the fresh concrete, they've got 50 others that they haven't even checked, right? So instead of doing that, let's focus on excellence and not perfection. Let's transfer lines onto really nice, sturdy batter boards and use a vertical laser or a plumb bob to make sure that all the anchor bolts are in place. And we have a chance to get 50 anchor bolts in the right spot. Whereas if we were nerding out on perfection on that one set of anchor bolts, we've left the other 49 unchecked. We need to make sure that we have the capacity doing excellent things and not to do everything the right way and not get stuck doing one or two things the perfect way that holds us up from doing anything with the rest. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Let's keep going. I'm fired up here. So what am I excited about? Today I did my first, with this type of format, executive retreat offsite with a leadership team. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic, made such great progress. It was over the top good. I totally believe in leadership meetings, in the Patrick Lencioni method with the table group, and the offsites and the ad hoc leadership meetings and the whole system to create organizational health. I'm just having a blast with that. Here's some feedback from our listeners. Here's a really good one, actually, from yesterday. He said he laughed over and over and over about the comment, "You're addicted to emails." And he thought that was funny because he knows me. He knows I'm a good guy. So he thought that was funny. But he said, here's a thought, though. Lean is about respecting the person next in the line of flow. The detail projects, the detail protects the shop protects the field. Is email sending a voicemail really respectful? or in email is sending a voicemail really respectful versus typing it out. It cannot be easily searched or quickly skimmed. This is the reason I ask people not to leave me a voicemail, but a text instead. What's your thoughts? And I think this is spot on. My point is, from yesterday's podcast, whether you answer emails in batches or you do it the lean way with one piece flow, just in time, right away, real time. Either way, you just have to find the quickest method. So if you have to send something by way of detail and it needs to be in text because you need a traceable system there or a traceable email, or you need to have clear instructions, by all means. What I'm saying is there's a lot of email and other traffic that can be reduced to voice to text or some quick systems like that. So the point is just separating things out to where they need to be. So I actually agree 100% with this feedback for improvement. I absolutely love it. I love good feedback for improvement. I'll take this one. So I needed to be more clear with that. What I won't take is people who are out there selling CPM telling me and lecturing me about CPM. That's the only kind of feedback I'm not going to take because it's not true. So if anybody wants to give me true feedback, I'm totally willing to listen. And for any of you who, who want to talk about it, let's have a conversation about it, right? So here's the conflict that we have today. According to the podcast topic of you take care of your work before you care for yourself. Here's the conflict. You have things in the wrong order. Let me tell you a quick story, and this is indicative of our lives. And I'm going to just continue my ranty kind of whiny behavior throughout the rest of the podcast. And I apologize. I love you guys. I apologize. You're going to have to forgive me. I don't know what to say. So I'll just tell you this. In boot camps, in the field engineer boot camp, we have field engineers create what's called a ticket. And a ticket I stole that from the Boy Scouts of America, from Wood Badge specifically. And there's a song that you go through the song, and at the end of it, it says, I'm going to work my ticket if I can. And in this song, in this culture, in this usage of the word ticket, in the it references a time when the British Empire, when they would dispatch the military soldiers, officers throughout the world, to Asia and to Africa and to India and all of the other places that they went. When they were done with their service, they had to buy their own ticket back. And so when they worked their ticket, working their ticket meant that they wanted to do well in the military and excel at their assignment so that they could get stationed to a place close to home, right? So if you get released from duty in France and you have to go back to England, that's a lot better than if you're in China. And so it was the saying, I'm going to work my ticket. I'm going to do really well so I get a really good assignment close to home. So when my assignment is over, I can just buy a ticket, right across to the island of England from the mainland of Europe here and not have to travel halfway across the world. So it's a saying called, I'm going to work my ticket. And so this ticket in Field Engineer Bootcamp has 6 specific goals. And those goals, 2 are for work. One is for personal life, one is for family, and then the other 2 are options. And so after they do FE Bootcamp, they have to go do these goals in the period of 6 months to get their certification. And that's really what boot camps are all about. Explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable. The enable part is when they take what they've learned back to the project. Trainings are really incomplete without that. And so we've always had a problem with field engineers filling out their tickets for their personal life to take care of themselves. They're focused on the job. They get what's needed on a day-to-day basis on the job. They're doing their boot camp stuff. They're in person. And I'm like, we need their tickets because they present them at graduation. They're like, these are my 6 goals. And it's a nightmare to get them done. And I realized something when we separated the boot camp from a 5-day to 2.5-day events for COVID-19 to let people go home at night to reduce the exposure to make sure people weren't as tired. I was like, oh, they have a whole week in between the first event to the second event to fill out these tickets or fill out their goals for their ticket. And I was totally misguided. The same amount of people didn't fill them out. We had the same difficulty. The team guides for the teams were having a hard time. And finally it hit me that this is what's going wrong. Everybody is habitually trained to focus on what the job needs, what the company needs, what their team needs at work. before and always before, not that it should be that way, but before their personal lives, their personal health, their personal safety, and their family. And so this is when it hit me. I was at boot camp and I'm like, I was at a campfire and it finally hit me. And I'm like, I stood up and I said, I love you guys. You are doing the same thing right now that you do every single day. You ignore your needs for the needs of a company that if you were to leave tomorrow, they would never think about you again. They would never, ever miss you or think about you again. They can replace you in whatever position you're in. I don't even care if you're the CFO. They can replace you and they can never think about you again. You are sacrificing your own health, your own finances, your own time, your relationships, your spirituality, every single thing about your life for a company that's never going to give you back what you put into it, ever. And so some people are like, oh my gosh, Jason's saying don't be loyal to companies. Damn right I am. Everybody else should be saying the same thing. I own a company, Elevate Construction. And when I start to hire more and more people, I've got 5 or 6 people working with me right now. When I start to hire more full-time people to work at Elevate Construction, I will never, ever, 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 man, I repeat myself a lot. I will never, ever ask them something stupid like saying, will you be loyal to my company? I will train them and treat them so well that it will be hard for them to ever leave, but I will always tell them that their loyalty should be with their God and their spouse and their family and themselves first. Now, having a job, the order of priorities of life are, God, family, career, and then yourself. But the order of loyalty is God, family, yourself, your health, your friends, and then companies last. There's no such thing as being loyal to a company. There's no such thing as that. It will never, ever exist. You're living in a dream world. You need to be loyal to you, yourself, your family, and to God. That's it. I said you and yourself twice. Sorry. Well, no, actually, let's just stick with that. Because your company that you're working for, even if you own it, needs you to be at 100% capacity. And you can't be at 100% capacity paying attention to safety and all of these other things if you're distracted by the fact that you don't have the right health care. You're not taking care of your teeth. You're not sleeping well enough. You're getting a divorce. You're not taking care of your kids. You're depressed. All of these things on and on. You're having financial difficulties. You just got a DUI because you won't go to your group meetings and get past your addictions. This is a problem. You need to take care of yourself first. So I was talking to all these field engineers at boot camp and I was like, you do this every day. You go to the project site and you take care of everything that the job site needs and you completely crap, and I would insert a cuss word there if I could, you completely crap on everybody else, in everybody else that's supposed to be dear to you, yourself, your family, everybody else, your church. For what? For what? Because you get a paycheck anywhere. Do you think these people are going to take care of you and give you some kind of riches? No. The problem is you're out of balance and you're out of sequence and you're focusing on the wrong things. You have things in the wrong order. And I told these field engineers at camp, you have to get this straight. How dare you come to this camp and finish this camp and do the actual physical work and do the stuff that your team needs and actually go through and finish those footings and place concrete without freaking filling out your personal guide to success, your personal goals for family success, your personal beacon and North Star for where you want to head, where you want to make more money, where you want to be more satisfied, where you want to have a better marriage. How dare you come to work and do those things first without taking care of your own goals and your own systems at the same time, at least do them at the same time, if not first. And that's the thing that I want to be passionate about, that I am passionate about right now, is that you think you're too busy to take care of yourself. No, you're not. You're good enough to do all of these things. You should. And let me just go through this. And I want to be really forward about this. You should be spiritually taken care of. You should be taking care of your duties at church. You should, or whatever you committed to. You should be taking care of your body. You should be taking care of your mindfulness. You should have whatever kind of morning and afternoon routines that you need. You should be taking care of your health. You should be exercising whenever you want. You should be able to take your wife on date night. You should be able to go to little Johnny's baseball games. You should be able to call your friends and family and live a remarkable life. You should be able to have your own Saturdays. Have Saturdays off, unless you have to do like one every other month Saturday rotation for your project team. You should be able to do all of these things and go to work and kick butt. And so that's my other point. I'm doing everything I can at Elevate Construction to get people to take this personal organization training. I'm like, take the personal organization training, get it, take massive actions, call me if you need help, but get your life to where 40% of that waste every week is gone and you can go do the things that you want to do. And people are like, oh, that's nice, I don't have time. In fact, I got 20 people right now on Kajabi that haven't, and it's not the training material. The training material is fantastic. I can tell you that for sure, but they've done one click. They started the course and then they haven't clicked it since. Why? Why, I ask you? It's because they got caught up at work because they value the chaos of the job over themselves. And that is absolute garbage because you need to be taking care of yourself. You need some you time. You need training. You need to take care of your family. You need the rest. You need your health. You need your mental sanity. You need your time, period. End of story. That is how the system works. And so everywhere, where is this showing up? Everywhere. Where else do you do this? Everywhere. Where else do you put work ahead of family? Everywhere. You do it everywhere. That shows up in your life every stinking where you go. When you're in front of your kids, when you're in front of your wife, when you're in front of your husband, when you're in front of your parents, when you're like, I just heard today somebody saying, yeah, dad's at work and he had promised to go out with the kids on a skiing trip. They're not too happy with him. Well, duh. Why are you prioritizing that stuff? Are you telling me you're the only one at work that can handle this? You can't take your family vacation or your PTO time? I cringe when I hear superintendents say they don't take vacation. I partially die inside when I hear of people where they're like, yeah, I never took a honeymoon because I was too busy working. I just want to scream at the top of my lungs when I hear that people are not happy and healthy at home or with themselves because they're quote unquote dedicated to work. Well, the person that puts you in that situation doesn't deserve you. If your company has you in a crash landing, and let's go back to the people that I was yelling at earlier on the podcast about, oh, I love CPM. CPM works so great, but we're the last 4 months of the project, we're working 7/12s. Okay. Either somebody here's really, really stupid, or we just don't have very much insight here, everybody. We can make a difference and we can fix this and you can get home. And I want to say that if you're working for a company that puts you in that crash landing, or if you're working at somebody that forces you to use push systems, or if you're working with somebody that just tells you to get the job done, you got to put in the sacrifice, then they do not deserve you, because every stinking job is going to be like that. You're never going to have a day in construction where it's not the busiest time ever. I used to tell Katie, I was like, yeah, I could go do this with you. It's just a busy time right now. And after the 17th time of saying that, she's like, Jason, it's always the busiest time. I get it. You're never going to be here for me. And that's when I had to wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to take care of myself. And that's the only thing that forced me to get personal organization, the clarity, the mindset, and the morning routine that would get me to a point where I could do both and make the money, because men have to be out there. Even if you're married, even if your wife is the main breadwinner, even if she makes more money, you have to be out there working. You have to be providing. That's how you are programmed. And so you are good enough to do both. But until you decide that you're supposed to do both and hold yourself accountable for both, you will never be motivated to be personally organized. And so this is what I want to stop. You think I'm yelling at you? I'm not yelling at you. I'm passionately just speaking up, much like your preacher would do, or somebody else passionate in your life saying, you deserve better. Please expect more. There is a better way. You have to expect that this can be done, because I know for a fact that it can be done. Gary Vee says, if one person has done it, anybody can do it. If one person has overcome an addiction, anybody can do it. If one person climbed that mountain, anybody can do it with the right determination. If one person was able in your circumstances to start a business, you can do it. If one person as a superintendent can go find a life balance and find a way to get organized at work, you can do it too. Anyone can do it. And I'm telling you, as a person who has 11 kids and a wife and intense church callings all the time and multiple projects throughout my life that I had to take care of, mega projects, I'm telling you, I went home on time. And if I can do it, you can do it. And so stop taking care of the project before you take care of yourself. Where else is that showing up in your life? Who else are you crapping all over to take care of a company that's never going to think twice about you when you're gone? It has to end today. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.